The city of Chicago is known to travelers for its diverse cuisine, culture, and communities. But those of us who call it home know there's a whole world outside the city limits. With nearly 10 million residents across 8 counties, the country's third largest metro area is full of great places to live, eat, work, and play. As a real estate agent serving the suburbs, I have the privilege every day to get to know the people and places that make this sweet home Chicagoland. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sweet Home Chicagoland. I'm your host, Chris Grano. I'm with Keller Williams Realty here in the Chicago suburbs, and this podcast is all about highlighting the people, the places, the businesses that make the Chicago suburbs a great place to live. So I'm super excited to introduce today's guest. He's a good buddy of mine, a super talented guy, and I know he's probably got a lot more fans than I do, but hopefully our numbers will jack up now that we've gotten on the podcast. So let me bring in Mr. Scott Lewis from Hillbilly Rockstarz, Chicago's #1 country band. Scott, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Chris. Don't sell yourself short, man. I love your vocals. You're a great singer. Great singer.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much, man. Well, it's good to have you here. So I know it's been a crazy year for everybody in the Chicago music scene, and we're going to talk about how you guys have handled that. And for those watching that don't know my music side, some people might only know me from the real estate world, but Scott and I are buddies from the Chicago band scene. And so, Scott, I wanted to ask you, since this is a podcast all about Chicagoland, tell me about your connection to Chicagoland. Where did you grow up here, or did you move here, and where do you live now? Tell me about that.
Well, I was born in DeKalb, Illinois, and then my parents moved to the city, and that's I was about 8 years old. But then I actually moved away when I was a teenager because my father had some family that lived in Iowa, and during about three of my teen years, I actually worked on a farm. And that's where I got my country roots, and my dad was a truck driver, and it kind of goes hand in hand, with country music. So, but yeah,
that's awesome.
So when we moved to the city as a kid, my dad decided to open up a bar in Chicago, and when he opened up that bar, he decided to have live entertainment. And I believe I was about 11 years old, and he had a couple bands that would come in on a regular basis. And they would, meet with me because I was in the bar, because my dad had he had an apartment in the back of it. So I would come out during the day, or sometimes he'd let me come out and listen to the shows. And it was really cool. So I got to, meet a lot of local musicians. Buddy Guy is one of them, wow. Cyrus Hayes, a lot of blues guys. And then I got to meet some, country guys, on the scene as well. So I was really infatuated with drums back then. I started out as a drummer, playing drums when I was 11, and I used to have to clean the bar every morning. So when he had a house band that was there for a couple months, I asked the drummer if I could mess around on his kit, and that's where it all started.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. Well, that's a cool story. So you it's been in your blood for a long, long time.
Absolutely.
And it's funny. I always wondered, this, and anybody who's in the music scene that's watching or listening to us right now knows that us musicians don't get to hang out very much together because we're always working, right?
When I see you at a show, I'm like, Chris, it's so good to see you.
So that's cool. I didn't know that about you. It's cool to learn that. So yeah, that's awesome. So, and I always wondered too, where the country came from. I like country music too, and we lived in Nashville for a while, but I always wondered with you, so you grew up on a farm, so you did some real hard work for a while there.
I did. I actually drove a John Deere 4440, farmed 144 acres. We raised pigs, cows, and goats. And it was interesting to say the least, especially the pig side of it.
That's awesome, man. So you got some really cool experiences in the background there. So that led you to getting involved in music. And I know we're probably fast forwarding through a lot of life and life experiences, but you started, correct me if I'm wrong, Hillbilly Rockstarz in 2008. Is that right?
2007.
2007.
But we didn't actually start playing out until the end of 2007. We had like our first 2 gigs. And then 2008 is when we actually became a band.
Okay. Very cool. So what was the scene like for country music in 2008 in Chicago?
Zero. Yeah, there's nowhere to play. We had to kind of scrape our way through a few local bars. You know how it is when you're starting out. Hey, come and give us a try, and things like that. But our set list, ironically, back then was probably 3/4 country, and then about a quarter of it was classic rock, because some bars just wouldn't even have you with just country.
Yeah.
So as country got more popular, I'd say around 2010, 2011, it really started, popping. That's when I say that, we went to a full country night, for a set list.
Awesome. Yeah, you're right. That was right. That was actually when I was living in Nashville at the time. And so things were, man, I mean, it was absolutely blown up and big time crossover. So, I mean, yeah, for sure. Cause I remember, I mean, I listened to a lot of country in the 90s, I'm
country, man.
Oh man. And
part right there.
Oh, absolutely. But it was funny because at that time, I mean, so I'll show my age a little bit here. I was in high school at that time. So for me, I kind of got made fun of for listening to country music as a Chicago kid, but now it's mainstream all the way.
Yeah. Now we're the cool kids. Finally. It only took years.
Exactly, man. So you guys started out doing a mix of, you said, the country and the classic rock. And, we come from the scene in Chicago where there's a rich cover band scene. And that's not the case in a lot of cities. I don't know if people who grow up in Chicago realize that, but even, Nashville, obviously, but if you go to, yeah, it's interesting, and so you guys grew out of that. But what I'm curious about is, when did you get interested in doing original music?
Actually, I've always been, writing music here and there throughout my career, but I never really had the confidence to do it. And, ironically, the last few years, people were really digging the band. We started getting a bigger draw, and a lot of our fans were just demanding it. They're like, you guys got to put out some originals. Come on. And I had some in my pocket, and, I had a few ideas that I wanted to do. And that's when we decided to debut our album, Feels Like Home, which is an EP, just 5 songs. But we wanted to kind of, test the waters, see what people thought. And I got to tell you, it's one of the scariest things to do is to put out original music, because I guess the best way to describe it is, if you work out a lot, like people that we know, as an example, and then you take off your shirt and you got to show everybody, and you hope that you have, people go, hey man, you look really good. It's the same thing with music. You put it out there and you're just kind of like, are they going to like it? I hope they like it. I wrote this from my heart, or an experience, or, a life lesson, and things like that. So when I released the title track, Feels Like Home, I was just floored at the response. It was just like, I'll tell you what, man, it's no better feeling in music as, as a musician with with your career, that people are accepting something that you wrote from scratch.
Yeah. I paid a lot of attention when you guys released that song, because, I come from original music way back when, and members of my band, we've always kind of talked about that kind of thing. And, the timing hasn't really felt right yet, but when I saw the response that you guys got, I was super excited for you, because number one, it's a great song, the title track. And then, but the support and love that you guys got from your fans, I think probably made you feel pretty validated, right?
It was amazing. Yeah. And people were coming out to buy the CDs, and they wanted the shirt to go with it. So it was pretty awesome.
That's awesome, man. So you guys play all over Chicagoland, but you also do some traveling down in Nashville here and there, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we actually got to play for CMT Awards. They did a private event, and they had a bunch of bigwigs and real estate people there and stuff. And they actually discovered us, ironically, at Toby Keith's, which is now Joe's Live.
Oh, yeah.
Saw us perform there, and I get a random phone call out of nowhere. Hey, this is, Jeff Newberger from CMT. And I'm like, oh, okay, who's this? Is somebody pranking me? And he's like, oh, man, we saw you. We want you to do a corporate event for us. I'm like, what? Why? Where? What are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, we saw you at Joe's Live. We had such a great time with your band. We really love what you guys are doing. You're very authentic. You should be down here anyway. And I'm like, down where? And he's like, Nashville. So he invited us for this corporate event, and I was blown away because I'm like, there's so much talent down there, and you want a Chicago band? Are you sure? I mean, I still to this day I'm just so like, honored and humbled. And we got this gig, and all expenses paid. They put us up. They brought our wives down, and we got to perform. It was called. I think the venue's gone now. I think it's now Florida Georgia Line's bar, but it was called a venue, which is the letter A and then venue.
Yeah,
and they were doing a lot of wedding stuff like that and corporate events. So they put us up in a hotel there, and we performed for them, and it was off the charts. It was just unbelievable. And I have friends and a lot of people that I know down there from my career over the years. One of my buddies is a great guitar player. He played with Jared Neiman for like 8 years. Travis Mobley, he's with Shenandoah.
Wow.
Vince Marino, he's been with everybody you can think of. I had the honor of being on stage in Broadway with George Jones's steel guitar player, Tom Killen. Amazing musicians. Just to be on stage with these guys is like a dream come true because they're just so talented. But going back to that whole thing, I mean, it was just it was just an honor to get down there and play. And then once people actually heard us, some other clubs wanted us to come down and play a few sets here and there. So we played about a half dozen times, here and there when we're not playing up here because we're a very, very busy band. And we also played for the ACM Awards. We got to guest sing with Larry Gatlin and the Gatlin Brothers at the 50th Anniversary Awards. He invited us up on stage to sing with them, all the gold in California. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, we've had some really, like great milestones with this band. And, some of my friends from Nashville helped, with the CD, steel players and, instrumentation that I wanted to be authentic for the songs. And then my band learned them. And I'll tell you what, man, I'm not shortchanging my band either. I mean, I got some of the most talented people in Chicago in my band, and I'm proud of it. I always say I am the weakest link. I put the band and I sing a few tunes, but without them, I couldn't do this. It's a family. It really is, and I'm proud to be on stage with all of them. And I know our bass player real well. We shared him for some time, and then
That's right.
I stole him away from you. I hope you're not.
That's right.
That.
Well, no, you guys do have a great lineup, and and we know too. I mean, being in the music scene, sometimes people come, people go, sometimes they come back, right? And what's amazing to me about your band, and there's a couple others like this in the scene, but you guys have just always been constant. Even if somebody had to go away or whatever, you guys have always put out a great, very consistent product. And what I think strikes me about your band, and like I said, there's other bands as well, but you guys, it's a show. It's not just getting up there and playing music. And I'll be honest with you, I think that is probably why you stood out in the minds of those folks from Nashville too, because I lived there for a while, and you're right, the talent is unbelievable. But
I'm not worthy. You know what I mean?
Right, for sure, on an individual level. But I will say a lot of those people are down there because they're trying to make it either in the recording side or on the touring side. They're not necessarily there trying to put on the best cover act or the best,
entertain.
And so exactly. And so what you guys do, I mean, I love just some of the, the holler and swaller and just the stuff that when you're watching you guys perform, you feel like you're a part of the show.
That's what we want. We always say that, we're the players and the people are the show.
Yeah, 100%. And one of my favorite things about your show too is I gotta talk to you about the guitars. So, oh man, I love your guitars. So you're a Tele man, right?
That is my favorite go-to. I mean, I own a Strat and I own a Les Paul, but they don't get much play. I'll tell you.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a Paul guy.
That's awesome. And so you've got several. I mean, I don't even know. You probably have way more than I know about. I know you got the John Deere, right?
Yep, I got John Deere. I have the General Lee, which is based off Dukes of Hazzard.
Yep.
I have the American flag, the worn American flag that was built by Fat Cat Guitars out of Elgin, Illinois. That guy's amazing.
Okay. Awesome.
I have a flame top. It's blue and silver sparkle. Also custom shop made by Fat Cat Guitars. A thin line Telecaster, just a straight, Fender, American made, beautiful guitar. Trying to think, I have a cherry sunburst Stratocaster. Trying to think what else I got. Oh, a custom shop Harley Davidson 100th anniversary. That one is there was only 10 of those made.
I think I just saw. Did you posted a picture of that recently, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that one was awesome. Yeah, that's super cool.
It's incredible. Yeah, I'm very blessed to, as people come to me. It started out with the John Deere, this guy that's out of Minnesota called Da Vinci Custom Guitars. He actually saw a video of us playing somewhere, and he loved the name, so he listened to it, and he actually contacted me through MySpace back then.
Oh, yeah.
And said, hey, man, I've got this guitar. It's a custom shop. It's a one of a kind. And I was supposed to build guitars for all the John Deere stores to put up, as a display. And the whole deal fell through. We had lawyers and all this stuff. And they wanted us to produce, I think it was like 2,000 guitars in X amount of time. He's like, I'm a little guy. I couldn't do it. So he goes, I thought this whole deal was going through. I got this prototype. I sent it to them. They sent it back. The deal's off. I own it. It was painted at the John Deere factory, in the Quad Cities. And I was just like, really? He's like, yeah, I think you should have it, man, because it just screams hillbilly. And I'm like, hey, dude, I'm interested. So he made me an offer. I know what guitars are worth because I've been collecting for some time. And I bought it for pretty decent, but I got to tell you, when I got it, it didn't play that great because it wasn't really made to be played.
Right. Yeah. It's just a display piece. Yeah.
Yeah. It had a lot of great parts on it, but it wasn't set up. The pickups, were EMGs, which I'm not really an EMG guy. And make a long story short, I took it to Fat Cats and told them what I wanted done to it, made it my own. It is all genuine Fender parts, but it's not technically a Fender. It's like a parts caster, I guess you could call it. If you want to get down to it. But it's a blessing and a curse because when I play the guitar, everybody remembers me and they think about the band. And then if I try to play a different guitar, I get a hard time, man. I'm telling you, people are like, they're emailing me, messaging me, and they're like, hey, man, why don't you have the John Deere out tonight? The General Lee's cool, but I really want to see the Telly tonight, man. I'm like, oh, man. So I'm telling you, it's a blessing and a curse. And but I do love it. I literally just played a show in CD and Me in Frankfurt. Yeah. And, it was really cool because I got an email from the guy and he wants to book us for a new venue in Indiana, which we got to talk to you about. We'll hook you up.
Nice.
So he says, hey, just so you know, I'm opening up this new venue. It's going to be similar to CD and Me. And I wanted to let you know, I walked in the door and I'm like, we're going to check this band out and see what they're all about. And he goes, and a light bulb went off because I saw you with that John Deere. And I'm like, hey, I know these guys. I saw them at Toby Keith's. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Toby Keith's been closed for a while. And he goes, it all came back to me. And I told my partners that are helping open this venue that, this is a great band. I know these guys because I saw that John Deere before. I'm like, okay, if you associate a great band with, the guitar, I guess it's working, it's good marketing and I'll take it, So it was a pretty cool story. And the band got a kick out of it too. I'm like, see, we branded ourselves pretty well. I mean,
absolutely.
And the hillbilly thing. So it was pretty awesome.
That's funny, man. That's, you have to do stuff like that, and I'll tell you a funny side note with that. So, some of the listeners might not know the band that I'm in is called Recycle Today.
Great band. Great band.
Thank you. Thank you. So we we were joking around, and when I got involved in the band about 6 years ago, we really tried to amp up the marketing and, get the on stage, have the TVs going and that kind of a thing, just so people would remember and get them to like us on social and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And so Johnny, the band
Yeah.
leader, my best buddy, and great guitarist. And he said he said, we got to do something to make our name more memorable. I said, well, what do you mean? He's like, we just got to pound it into people's heads. He said, I was talking to a bride the other day, and she said, we finally found you. Like we've been looking for you guys, and we finally found you. And he thought she meant like, we were looking for that right band, and we finally found the right band.
Right.
She said, no, we saw you and we couldn't remember your name, and we looked all over for you. And so he was like, God, so that is funny. Then every show, I took every breath I could take was, remember the name of the band, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's funny, man. So that's cool that it's worked out for you guys that way. Hey, I want to ask you about a really cool event that you guys have done. I think 2 years, maybe more. You'll tell me. The Chicago Music Cruise. Tell me, with
4
Seventh
years,
Heaven, 4 years. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So tell me about how you guys got into that, and how's that experience been for you guys?
Well, we actually met up with our good friends now, Seventh Heaven. We would see each other on the scene, and we got to know each other. We opened for them, quite a few times, and I got to know the owner and the genius behind the band, Richie Hofer, and we got to talking. We got to be really good friends. My wife actually works with him. He has a travel agency, and also does a lot of festivals. He helps out and books bands, and sets up festivals and gets them going. So in the interim of getting to know each other, he's like, I got this thing that I do on the side, and Chicago Music Cruise, and I want to. Well, actually, it was called Seventh Heaven and Friends back then, where people come out, the fans, and they get to interact with the band, and you get to perform on the ship. And he goes, would you be interested? I'm like, duh, yeah, of course,
yeah, for sure.
We want to go on a cruise. So I said, well, how many times you perform? He goes, well, depending on the itinerary, it could be anywhere from 2 to 4 times. We never know. So, because they have their regulars that sign up for 6 months on those ships. So once he brought that to our attention, we thought we'd give it a try. And we went the first time. And I think it was just like a little over 200 people. We had only brought probably 60, I think, and the rest were all Seventh Heaven fans. And the word got out, man. People started talking. We got to perform on the main stage in the back of the Royal Caribbean's Oasis of the Seas. So we've been on Oasis, Allure, the Harmony, and the Symphony. So it's all the really big ships. They're all their flagships. And so once we performed on that, we started getting fans from all over the world, believe it or not. It was crazy because people that are on these ships are coming from all over the world. So we're getting emails from like, Italy, England, oh, we really love your band, and we hope you guys do the cruise again. And I'm forwarding these to Richie, and Richie's like, oh yeah, don't worry. He goes, by the time you get off the ship, you're going to have a few corporate gigs somewhere. Sure enough, we got corporate gigs. I was like, and one of them was a big festival in Ohio. We got to play down in Iowa, for another festival. They all saw us on the ship. So it was an amazing experience, and it just kind of exploded from there. And now we average over 500 people from the Chicagoland area.
Wow.
Family, friends, and other bands, so we need to talk about that too. That get to perform on the ship, and it's pretty awesome, and it's a great marketing tool, and we hope to grow it. I mean, Richie is the genius and my wife behind growing this thing. We had Infinity on with us 2 years ago, and that went over really well. I think he's got some other bands I can't name that's coming up in the 2022, which is in January, February. I can't remember the exact date, but if you go to ChicagoMusicCruise.com, got to put a plug in.
There you go.
All the details are there, but it's so much fun because yourself being in this industry, you go to perform, And when you go to perform, you got to play your set. You stop for a little bit. You say hi to everyone. Thank them for coming. Sorry, I got to go back to work. So you don't really get to hang out with anybody. You can't drink in most cases.
Right.
So it gives us the chance to perform and hang out with people at the pool and, have a few drinks. That's the hillbilly thing. Well, actually, it's everybody's thing, but
right.
our thing. And do a few holler and swallers. And it's so cool to interact with your fans, and you get to know these people on a great personal level, that I have really just gotten closer with these people as friends, and the bands. Like, the bands have been so cool and so welcoming. At first we were like, I don't know, this is kind of weird. There's a lot of Seventh Heaven bands here. They're probably not going to like country music. But lo and behold, there's a lot of people that, like me, I like all music, that really love the band and appreciate it. And they thought it was a nice change of pace. And it's grown, man. It's amazing. It's an awesome opportunity. If any band ever gets asked by Richie to do it, do it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you guys, did you do it? Did you get a chance to do it last year before everything shut down, or?
Actually, we did in January, and that's
Okay.
right when the COVID came out in February.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did get it in, and then obviously we didn't get it in for this year because
Right.
everything's still shut down on that end. But he was able to rebook it, and we're also pretty confident that everything's going to be good by the time that our next cruise happens. I also want to mention too, we added Dazzle and Dawn, which is a line dance instructor for country music on that ship as well. He's had
awesome.
Stars. He's had Tim Smith from John M. Smith, furniture commercials come, and he was a speaker. He had Scott Childers, the radio guy. He's had a lot of local celebrities that join us. I know he was talking about bringing some US 99 people on next time. So he's always inviting local celebs to come aboard. I know he's got a comedian from Chicago that's supposed to be on next time. So we're trying to grow it. And if anyone wants to join in, definitely contact Richie through ChicagoMusicCruise.com or Seventh Heaven. Everybody knows those guys. They've been around for like 35 years. They're like local.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you guys, when I think of some of the, the top tier bands in Chicago, obviously Seventh Heaven's kind of the first one that comes to everybody's mind, but you guys are right up there. Honestly, especially when it comes to country. I can't think of, it's no slight to our friends who are in other country bands. There's great bands everywhere.
Thank you, bro.
But yeah, for sure. Now, you mentioned, we both talked about a little bit about the pandemic, and it's been all everybody's talked about for the last year, but you guys have still, been able to stay relevant. I saw you did some live streams, right, last year?
Yeah, we did some live streams. We actually had some park districts ask us to record, some videos that they could post on their local cable networks, and we still got paid. So, we were so grateful for that.
That's awesome.
We didn't see that one coming. And then, we did the live streams, but ironically, we started getting calls for like outdoor events. Mostly bars with, giant, I don't know what you call them, parking lot parties, I guess.
Right.
They set up outside so people could actually come and see bands. So we were very fortunate to get those calls. And normally we do 100 plus shows a year. Last year we did 56, but it was more than most people. And I'm not bragging. Yeah. I'm just grateful. I would have, been more than happy to share that wealth with any band, because it was pretty darn depressing, in the first few months. And then when the phone started ringing for these gigs, obviously the money isn't what it was because everyone's hurting. So we're working with people so we could perform. I have no shame in saying that. You got to do what you got to do. And, if they're hurting, we're hurting, and it's both ways, So, being that my dad owned a bar, I know what it's like to, pay the band and not make any money. So it's all about, working together and keeping our scene alive. And a lot of these bar owners and venues were very kind to bring us in.
Yeah, it was neat to see that. And you guys, I think it works out particularly with your style of music and the kind of atmosphere. So it was really cool that you guys got to do a lot of those outdoor shows. I was excited for you. We played, we're similar to you, Recycle the Day does about 110 shows a year. And I didn't even count last year because, so much of ours is weddings, and that industry just, just took a bath last year. I mean, it was just
Yeah, it was bad.
it was hard to see. But what I was encouraged by, though, was everybody rallying together. And the interesting thing was I've got to know you a little bit more over the last couple of years. And in the last year, I made more friends in the Chicago music scene than I ever have because and because we're all sitting at home with nothing to do. So, you know, a lot of folks had their live streams and I would see people pop on there and support each other. So it's for people who don't know the scene, like the two of us or like our friends and fans do, it's a real family, you know?
It is, for sure. We're very blessed to have this music scene, and I hope it keeps going. You know,
for sure. What do you guys have coming up next?
This week we're actually up at Sundance Saloon in Mundelein.
Okay.
Social distance event, limited seating, so you got to buy tickets. And then after that, we're down in Elgin at Old Republic Kitchen. The week after on Friday, and then I believe we're going to be the opening band for Saddle up in Aurora. They're supposed to be opening on April 10th.
Oh, great. Very cool. So I think, are you seeing positivity ahead for this year? Thinking some good shows?
The phone's been ringing. You know, some fests said they're not taking a chance, but a lot of fests have booked us. So that's awesome. We're seeing a good year ahead. Thankfully, hopefully it keeps going that way and everybody stays happy and healthy and, gets their vaccine, if that's what you're into,
right?
Or doesn't, but, let's all be safe so we can keep the scene going and keep everybody, healthy, because it's definitely a real problem and we need to make sure that everybody stays safe. Amen,
brother. Amen. We want to just whatever it takes to get people back to, just having fun with each other, man. That's why I miss people. I miss shaking people's hand and giving them a hug.
It's like, dude, I am a hugger. I hug everybody, as you know. Yeah. The last time I saw you was at Joliet Hollywood Casino, and I saw you, and I ran up to you, and I gave you a fair hug.
Yep.
But I got to tell you, I know I'm on your show, but Recycle Today, I've seen them. We co-billed on some shows, and I'll tell you what a show you guys put on. High energy, amazing vocals, great musicianship. I mean, you guys impressed the heck out of me. And I gotta tell you, it's so good to see fellow musicians killing it, and you guys are great.
Oh, thank you, man. We appreciate it. We it's been a while for us. We haven't done a show since near the end of last year. I just had a little baby a month ago. Yes, thank you. So it's been crazy, but we're looking forward to getting back out there as well. So I want to, I definitely want to make sure we plug everything so people know where to find you. But before we do that, I want to give everybody who hasn't had a chance to watch it or listen to it, we're going to play the title track from your EP, Feels Like Home. And just tell me real quick, what's the inspiration for this song?
It's actually a song about me and my wife and my family. So it was dedicated to them. And the music video that we put out actually has my son and his wife with his niece and nephew, because they don't have any kids yet. So we borrowed them for the video, but they played us. My son played me, and she played, my wife, Justin and Kimbra Lewis. So I was
That's awesome.
To have them a part of it. And I got an amazing family. And my daughter is a great musician. She plays piano and teaches vocals. Music stores. And she's phenomenal, and Chip Off the Old Block. My son plays drums and sings, so I'm very blessed, and I'm sure you'll see some of that. It rubs off. These kids. They surprise you. I mean, my son became 10 times the drummer I ever was. And my daughter just blows me away with her singing. She's a soprano, and she sings in 4 different languages and teaches people. So just like. Very, very cool. So yeah, the song is all about my family and, playing music and trying to live that dream. And they back me all 100% and still do to this day.
That's awesome, man. That's amazing. It's amazing legacy. Something you'll be able to look at in the future, for many years to come. So, all right, we're going to get it up here on the screen. And for those of you guys, this one's Hillbilly Rockstarz, Feels Like Home.
Thank you, Chris.
Wake up in the morning,
smell that coffee brewing, it feels like home. Feels like home. Sunshine on the sofa, smile you can't resist, it feels like home. Feels like home. I'm thankful for this life we live. 2 dogs, a house, the most beautiful kids. With you here, it feels like home. It feels like home. I keep strumming along. It feels like home. Feels like home, like a favorite song. Feels like home. Friday, money's in the bank, next day it's gone. Feels like home. Feels like home. No, it can't be wrong. So praise the life we live each day. No, we wouldn't have it any other way, 'cause that's home. Feels like home. Yeah, we laugh, we joke, we fuss, we fight, argue over who's wrong or right, but that's home. Feels like home. Well, I can make you love me, well, I can make you sing my song. With you, babe, that's where I belong. 'Cause it feels like home. I keep strumming along. Feels like home. Feels like home. Just talking on the phone. Feels like home. Friday, money's in the bank, next day it's gone. Feels like home. Feels like home. No, it can't be wrong. Ha! Sing my song, feels like home. When I hold you in my arms till the break of dawn, feels like home. Yeah, it feels like home. No, you're never alone. Feels like home. Feels like home. No, it can't be wrong. Feels like home.
That is awesome, brother. Feels like home, man. I love the kiddos in that one. That's gonna be fun for
Jack and Gracie. They're just awesome, and they love music. So it was so great when we did that video, because they were all excited and they just get play feels like home. Play feels like home.
Hey man, so I almost forgot. I'm glad that we played it, because it reminds me you guys have some new music coming up. I think this year, don't you?
Yes, we do. We're finishing up our second sophomore CD, as you would call it, and it looks like we're gonna have 7 songs on this one. And some different writing, some different stylings, but I'm pretty excited about what we got coming out. It's going to be a little different. I'd say it's probably more Jason Aldean-ish, a little heavier in some of it. And then we also got some like slower ballads geared towards like George Strait. So
that's awesome, man. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. Hey, I was gonna tease you too. A couple of weeks ago, I posted, you know that I do real estate as my full-time career.
Yeah,
and I posted something up on on Instagram, and I used that song in my Instagram story, and I tagged you.
I didn't see it, man. I gotta find it.
I'll do it again. I
mean, real estate feels like home. I get it, man.
That's right. That's right.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Hey, Scott. Absolutely, man. Thank you for being here, man. Thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure. It's always good talking with you. I'm hoping that maybe in a little bit we can share some beers here too.
Yeah, man, I'd like to share a stage with you. That's what I'd like to do.
Okay, so, I'm down for that. I'm down for that. Hey, give the people, I mean, heck, everybody in Chicago knows how to find you, but for the people who don't, tell them where they can find you online and all that good stuff.
Well, we're on all social media platforms. So, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff, YouTube. But the best way to find us is hillbillyrockstars.com. And we just redesigned our website. We're pretty proud of it. It's
nice.
Hillbilly Rockstars with a Z, not an S at the end. Hillbilly Rockstars with a Z.com, .net, .org. We own those three. So either any of those that you type in, we greatly appreciate it. And, our mantra with the band is good times with good people. So if you come out and you're good people, make sure you introduce yourself, because that's what we're all about.
That's awesome, man. That's a perfect way to end this. Scott Lewis, Hillbilly Rockstars, thanks again for joining us here on Sweet Home Chicagoland. Hey, if you guys don't know, keep following us here on all major podcast platforms. Pay attention on YouTube, and we're going to have some more video content later this year. And remember, as always, we know that Chicago is a great city, but don't forget to think outside the city limits. You guys have a good week.
Thanks, bud.